So the good news is that JD Vance is he's from he he's from a different Vance line. Okay, he's from, because I've been worried about this. The Vance name is a personal thing to me. So he's from the Vance family lineage of that's like from Kentucky and Virginia. And so there's a huge North Carolina. That's the Vances I know is from the North Carolina area, okay? And I not just know, but there's a huge Vance association because they've done their because their lineage is said to go back to one of the wise men that followed the Star of Bethlehem to Jesus's cradle, which is this is one of their early, like I don't know if it's symbols, crests, okay? And I know the wolf up there, it's like, what is that? But what's important here is this star. See it? There's 16 points on that. 16 pointed star that the three wise men followed to Bethlehem, to the cradle. So they say that Balthazar, he was the one that brought mirth. This isn't in the Bible, but this is all the history, okay? So King Balthazar, and they call them, I guess today, that the three wise men were, even though in the Bible it says magi, I guess in the Old Testament that can mean the same thing as kings. So they believe they were possibly three kings, one bringing gold, mirth, and frankincense. So the one that was bringing mirth was the king of Arabia, and Balthazar. Okay? And so it's interesting because when I just looked up the definition of Balthazar, it means like 16. It means something to do with wine bottles and 12 liters of 16 wine. Just the definition, I was just curious. I thought, okay, well that probably applies especially to my family. Anyway, so this Vance Association has done, they have heavily done research. And the reason this came to mind is I've done videos about this before, about, so the Balthazar, the King Balthazar, that is supposedly the king that brought the mirth to baby Jesus, then that family line ended up in France at some point. And in France, or Europe, they were known as the Vans of Barnabach. I know I'm saying that wrong. It's such a tongue twister. But yeah, they became known as the Vans or Voss of Barnbarach. That's it, Barnbarach. So again, Balthazar went in Arabia, then House of Barnabachs in France, and they were considered a noble family. Then they went to the lowlands of Scotland. That's probably where it gets confusing, because JD, he's from, the Ulster. I mean, but there's the lowlands and then there's Ulster. He's from Ulster. So the Voss of Barenbach went to the lowlands of Scotland, and then it became officially Vance. Okay, Vance. So that's, I mean, they've had this claim since the beginning. Okay, this is really what their coat of arms is, and their motto. They have a couple of mottos. One is "Be faithful." The star is big on their family crest because of the Star of David. This has been handed down, I guess. In all in the family, it's not like just something they came up with. I don't think they have evidence for it, but somebody was saying they do. I don't know how. I don't think they have DNA evidence for it. However, to keep something like that going in your family history for so long, I mean, I guess you could, but anyway, it's just interesting. So that's what they claim, is that they go back to the king of Arabia, who would have been the king of as I said, they also call it Balthazar or Bo. Then went into France and became the descendants of Devo or Debo. And then The one that's us particularly to all of everything I just mentioned is the North Carolina Vances, okay? So JD comes from like his lineage is Eastern Kentucky, and Ohio. Their roots trace back mainly to Northern Ireland. So, yeah, Balthazar definition says a very large wine bottle with a capacity of 12 liters, equivalent to that of 16 ordinary wine bottles. I could see that being a lineage that would be tied to Van. Just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding, but I'm, being funny. So then there in North Carolina, there's been many politicians that are Vances. Some of them Democrats, though, so not going back to the 1800s, playing a bunch of games, like all politicians do. But so the Scottish roots of the Voss or Vans, the ones from North Carolina, because they are the North Carolina Vances were Scottish Irish as well. Their crest often reflects the Scottish Vans of Barnabaric lineage, and the motto is "Be faithful." 3 stars on the 3 stars, as you can see there, is heraldry stars can represent virtue, learning, and piety. In the context of the Balthazar legend, the stars represent the stars of Bethlehem. They always have the color blue, which represents loyalty and truth. The lions often are seen on the crest, symbolizing courage and a valiant warrior. And yeah, this was carried all the way to the Appalachian Mountains, and it's carried over. So, but you could believe what you want. I mean, I don't think there's DNA evidence for it. However, it is what it is. And then there was another motto which meant something about being vassal, and it's in their heritage about being bold. And I thought, well, yeah, that's for sure. See, JD just doesn't he just doesn't strike me. I don't know how to explain it either. There's just a certain kind of, there's a boldness to the Vances. I mean, sometimes can be quite, but it can be really bold. Like they won't back down, kind of thing. I mean, I'm kind of an example of it. Even people would just say I'm probably stupid, but no, I think sometimes even though Jesus said it really doesn't matter about genes, and I don't think it does. I think everybody likes to look into their genes, but ultimately, that stuff never mattered to God. It didn't. It matters to this world. That's why it's like if the claim is true that they go back to one of the wise men, that's cool. But it does it change any you being special? No. That maybe just confirms to me why I'm so close to God. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so here they also the motto associated with the star too is with Balthazar is often cited by Vance historians as the reason for the family's bold and adventurous nature, which there's something in one of their mottos about being vassal. So, yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. There's been several politicians, not necessarily good ones, that back in the 1800s, that there was a Zebulon Vance, and then there was a Robert Vance. I'm not saying they were all bad. I mean, I think a couple of them were Democrats, and then there's a county of Vance in North Carolina. Yeah, it's mainly black Americans though, but it was black back in the 1800s. It was a strong, but it was mixed with black and white, but it's always been more on the black side. But it was a Republican stronghold, interestingly enough, the county of Vance. I don't know if it still is. So, yeah, what do you know? At least now I know why I can't relate to JD. It's like just something missing. Yeah, different lines. Good.